properties. That's 4.8 million coming in every month.
Who are your three favourite lenders when it comes to short leases? What other key points were there in that leaseholder reform act that you think are potentially going to affect short leases and your type of business?
They're going to remove the which makes it close to 50% cheaper to extend your lease.
What's sort of next for you?
Next, I've got a land actually. That plot is big enough, probably to fit.
Welcome back to another episode of the Property by Kazy podcast. Each and every week, we're joined by an amazing guest, a property industry professional that's sharing all of their years of experience for free with you. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Now, Jason, how you doing, brother?
Not too bad, thanks yourself.
I'm good, thank you. So this is Jason, aka the Short Lease King. Now, we're going to take a deep dive today in your long journey. I think from looking at your socials, you've been in property for 23 years now, which I think that alone, you know what I mean, it needs a round of applause. So Short Lease King, where does that name come from?
Well, basically, I've been buying flats all my life because initially I couldn't afford to purchase houses because I started off in Sainsbury's, stacking shelves, wasn't a manager or nothing, and I moved over to checkouts, but we can go into that in a minute. So with my wages, I wanted to invest in property somehow, but houses in North London, quite expensive. So I thought at least let me just start. I started buying flats. Then buying flats. I mean, eventually, obviously these flats have leases on them. Then after a period of time, every year, but you don't renew it, the lease goes down. And then after a while, we'll deep dive into it anyway, but I started buying flats with short leases. I mean, hence Short Lease King came into it.
So you found your niche. So before we get into obviously that side of things, working at Sainsbury's, living in North London, particularly so what age were you when you bought your first property?
23. Yeah, something like about 23.
23. Yeah. But what made you say I want to invest in property? Because that wasn't necessarily the norm when you look at sort of levels of ownership at that age. I mean, I think they say now, even now, I think the average first-time buyer tends to be sort of mid-30s.
Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah, no, I was sitting there at work one day. I was just knowing the rain's outside, looking around the room, and you're thinking, this is so long. I've got to spend the next 40 years of my life before I get to retirement age, before I can actually enjoy life, wake up late. I like waking up late, going on holidays, having a nice car. I thought, I don't want to wait 40 years for that to happen. So I thought there must be a way of trying to increase my income now. So whether it be stocks and shares, crypto wasn't around then, or start a business or go into property. I mean, tried to think of a business, but I didn't think of anything really. So I thought, you know what, property has to be the way where you can earn money without using sweat labor. So you can obviously put the money in, you get a return out every month, and then eventually that can replace your full-time wages. And it gives you the freedom to do what you want afterwards. So I thought property is the way for me in terms of obviously getting money coming in regularly. I mean, with property, there's no barriers to entry really as well. As long as you've got the money or can find the money, then you can get into that, invest, and then just start stacking bit by bit by bit. So I thought property was a way for me really.
And how much was the first property you bought, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, 70,000.
70,000.
1 bedroom flat, North London. It's a conversion. So it used to be, it's on my Instagram actually, used to be a house, and then the person converted it to two separate flats. Then I had the upstairs. 70,000. I mean, that was my first one.
So what was your deposit for that first property?
Luckily, I'm put down 7.5%. Yeah, because in theory, the plan was to move in there. Yeah, and then I saw the actual interest payments. So I thought, boy, this is a bit steep.
What were rates like when you bought your first property?
5.85%.
So similar to where we're at now,
exactly,
then?
Yeah. A cycle.
So for someone that's seen the cycle, I guess you kind of look at it, it comes in peaks and troughs.
Exactly.
And were your friends buying property when you were buying property?
My friends, they were doing FIFA. It was FIFA, Tekken, Street Fighter, all of that was going on, playing football, athletics. So no one around me was buying property. I used to go to the property investors show at Excel, London. I used to go by myself, like twice a year, because no one else wanted to go. I was like, yeah, I'm going to the property show. Like, property show? Are there girls there? I'm thinking, I'm not sure, I'm not sure, maybe, but I'm not going there for girls, going there for property. So I was like, are you going there for property for? Because I'm thinking of investing in property. They're like looking at me thinking, you're like, why? Like, come on, play FIFA, you know what I mean? So,
And did like once you bought your property, how did you find like did you tell many people? What was the reaction from your friends like when you bought it?
yeah, I told a few people, and then it's always a lot of them with the negative reactions. Oh, what if the tenant doesn't pay? Or what if he gets a negative equity, which I didn't even know what was that, where was it at the time? What this, what that? So it's more of a negative concept of it rather than a positive concept.
Yeah.
So, but with me, I don't know. I just blanked out the noise and then just kept on moving forward. But a lot of people weren't really into it. They said, "No, it's a lot of money to put into it. Like, how much are you earning? Are you sure you want to do that? Like, what if?"
I think that's the shorter term mindset sometimes, or just the looking for the negatives. So I think I remember when I was first buying somewhere, and people were telling me, "Oh, I would never buy a leasehold. I only want to own freehold."
Exactly.
But I think, or I'd never want to buy a one bed. I only want a house, you know, I only want a 3 bed with a garden. But I think it's that concept of sort of short term sacrifice for long term gains.
Exactly.
And particularly in the London market, you know, when you look at when's the best time to buy or what's your biggest mistake, it's always going to be, well, if I bought early or if I bought yesterday.
Yeah, exactly
So I think, you know, for people that are aspiring property developers or investors, as long as you buy at the right price, the best time to buy is always now. Obviously, if you buy, you know, overly inflated or you pay too much money, then it's not going to be a great deal. But if you buy at the right price, and so that property that you bought for £70,000, do you still own that one?
Yeah, still own it.
So you've kept that one the whole time. Is that like? Do you have like a more of an affinity to that property because it was your first one?
Yeah, that was it. Because I was around there actually about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Because my deal, my 5-year fixed rate expired, so I'm on to the new rate now. So no more 2.49%. It's going up to like 4.89, I think it is.
Okay, and the product fees are hefty right now as well, right?
Luckily, with Paragon, they were offering 5.39, which came down to 5.19. No product fee, 750 cash back, free legals and free valuation.
Yeah.
So I was there with a surveyor, but looking around, I was thinking, this was my first one ever, and I still got it.
That's
So
nice.
and that one, I extended the lease on in 2002. So I bought it in 2001, and then the lease was about 84 years. And then someone said to me, "Oh, don't let it go below 80 years." So I was like, 80 years, that's like the marriage value. Again, I still get clean myself up on that kind of thing. I was like, okay. So the year after that, which is 2002, that's when I done my first ever lease extension. And then the guy spoke to the freeholder on the phone, because I done the voluntary lease extension, by the way, yeah. So wrote him a letter, and then he contacted me and said, "Oh, so you're looking to extend your lease?" So I said, "Yeah." I said, it's, at the moment, it's like 84 years, but I want to extend it to longer. So he said, "Oh, how old are you?" I told him my age. I told him what I do. He said, "Oh, so I like to work in Sainsbury's." I said, "Oh, so you're a manager in Sainsbury's?" I said, "No, no." I said, "What do you do?" "Oh, I just stack shelves." Like a grocery department. I said, "Grocery? And you managed to buy this flat?" I said, "Yeah." So luckily, I think he felt sorry for me. So he extended my lease for £1,000.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which was good, because I was cleaning overtime, like day shift, night shift. And then the lease was, like I said, was extended to 125, and the ground rent was £50, and increasing by £25 every 25 years. Yeah. So every 25 years, another £25, another 25 years, £25, and so on. But it gave me a good deal back then, so I can't complain.
That's good. And what obviously sort of 20 years on, what's that? What did you get that flat valued up at your most recent?
Oh, 240,000.
240,000.
So times it by almost four-ish. So it's about 3.5. So it's been 20 years. So in theory, that kind of theory of it doubles every 10 years-ish kind of works.
Sort of fits, sort of there and thereabouts.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously it would increase, then there'll be a dip, 5-10%, depending on where you are in the country, like a recession. And after that, it rises, and it rises by a higher price than what was before. And then it dips again, and then it rises again, and so forth. So, but yeah, so that theory more or less holds true. Every 10 to 12 years, something like that, 13 years, it kind of doubles, and then move forward.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you touched on obviously going to like the Excel Center for the property shows early on. How important did you find sort of, you said your circle wasn't into property, but finding people that were and going to those events to enhance your knowledge. How important do you think that was for your journey as a property investor?
Yeah, that was imperative. That kept me motivated, made me think that, yeah, I'm doing the right thing, not just me, you know what I mean? So I didn't really meet other individuals to meet outside of that event, but I went around to the stands, talked to them, saw what was out there, what's available. Yeah, it was good. It was encouraging. Just wanted to see what was out there, basically, because at the time I didn't know anyone that was in property. I knew one person that I worked with, and then he split up with his missus, and then he moved back home to his mum's house. He's like, yeah, mum, do my cooking for me, my washing for me. So I was all right. And that house that I got in Tottenham, I'm just renting it out. Like £500-600 a month I'm getting from it. So I was like, oh, it's a good idea. So apart from him, no one else. Obviously, when I started in 2001, there was like something Sarah Beanie might have just started, the Property Ladder on Channel 4, not even too sure. 2003, that's when Homes Under the Hammer started with
Oh,
Martin
you
and
was
Lucy.
pre-Homes Under the Hammer?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, no, you're real old school there, dude. Pre-Homes Under the Hammers, early
Yeah.
doors.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, someone's into property. Like, I used to watch it religiously.
Yeah.
Which was just record it and then watch it religiously. And then there was another program called the £1,000,000 Property Experiment. That was on BBC, where these guys started off with one property, and the aim was to buy it, do up, sell it, buy it, do up, sell it, and then get to £1,000,000 just
Okay.
from like one pot of cash. Yeah. So all these things I was learning. Bought all the books, like Rob Moore, and the Cerabini one. I put it on my Instagram recently, actually. All these other property people, I just bought their books, just learning, and then I just absorb the knowledge.
So you think for somebody starting out, you reckon just sort of just absorbing everything, just sort of immersing yourself in the space and working out the area that kind of works for you.
Exactly.
Is a good
Go
good
to
way to
networking
start.
events. Yeah. Listen to podcasts like yourselves, because obviously your podcast, you got a big variation of individuals from different backgrounds, different starting points. So it's good that they look at podcasts such as these. Use all the free information on socials as well. Learn as much as you can. You've got obviously Instagrams. You've got YouTube. And then if you need to, then you get some form of mentorship afterwards. So if you're thinking, you know what, I need that guidance, I can't do this by myself, then try and find yourself a mentor, someone in the field that you want to go down. Yeah. So don't choose someone that's doing short leases and then you want to do BRR, or if you want to do rent to rent and someone else is doing BRR. Like, choose someone that's doing what actually the path that you want to go down, rather than just like a random mentee or mentor, should I say? Yeah. That's what I'd say, basically.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So let's sort of dive into now what you do and where your specialities lie. So I guess obviously your first one was like your proof of concept. You bought this flat, you saw like you started to understand about extending leases. You extended the lease for this one. Did your next properties, were they also short leases, or were the next ones you bought, did you buy some more conventional properties first?
Yeah, so normal ones first, as in like flats again. So I waited about maybe about 18 months or so before I got my next ones. Again, all flats, vanilla buy-to-lets. Didn't really know about refurbs or reconfiguration because no one told me anything. Whereas now, there's thousands of people that's in it.
Yeah.
Go on social media, go networking events, like just the information is there. Back then, no one, that's some big secret. I didn't know anyone that was doing it. Back then as well, I knew, I didn't know, but there was a guy called Andreas Paniotto. He managed to acquire like 8,000 flats. Yeah. So imagine getting like 8,000 flats and you need £600 each. That's 4.8 million coming in every month just from rental income. Yeah. So I thought, oh, flats, that's the way to go. So he was one of my hidden role models. I saw him on TV a lot of the time, being interviewed on the BBC. So I thought I'm following that route. Just lots of littles make a lot strategy. Then about 18 months later, like I said, bought my first one. I was just sitting down at home, watching TV, and then about BBC News, house prices have risen by 18% over the last 20 months. So I was like, oh, that's good. But I'm thinking, how can that work to my advantage? Because I didn't know about remortgaging and stuff.
Okay.
I didn't. No one told me nothing. Not like now, everything's there.
Yeah.
So I went into I done a spreadsheet anyway. Well, before that, I went into the local agent, Adam Kennedy. I saw looked for some properties. I'd enough to buy one, and then there's a mortgage broker in there called AJ, and then he said to me, "Oh, can I help you?" He said, "Yeah, I'm looking for another property." Blah blah blah. So then he just gave me a bit of schooling because I didn't know anything. He had retired for the third time, and he's coming out of retirement to do mortgage broken again. So I said, you've retired 3 times already. I said, yeah, this is my 4th time. I get bored, don't know what to do. So blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking, I want to be like you. Yeah. So, but then he schooled me. So I went away, come back, and then I done a spreadsheet at home. And then basically with what he told me about remortgaging and blah, blah, I figured out that I could buy 3 properties. So went in there, back in there again. And then I showed him the spreadsheet, and he's like, this is correct, yeah, Jason. Like, how old are you? So I told him my age. People out there like you, at your age, are doing going Napa, going to the pub, drinking, smoking, doing drugs. So I'm still doing all that, but not the drugs though. Not the drugs. No.
I had to make sure.
yeah. But yeah, I still want to do build a life for myself and blah blah. And then he kind of gave me a little guidance, and then took me under his wing, took me to one of his BRI projects in Edmonton. He had a nice black Mercedes that he drove in there. I was like, whoa, like Jason, do you know how I bought this car? I'm like, no, I bought a flat in Edmonton and I reconfigured it and I refurbed it. I mean, I refinanced it. I mean, I used that money to buy my car. So the money didn't come from my own pocket. So I was like, oh, okay. When I started to learn and understand. So then I bought 3 properties, yeah, from what you mentioned there, because I had the funds there, my savings, private tuition, started my second job, and the rental income as well, right? So I managed to get and a remortgage. So I put it all together and I bought 3 properties. Those were all vanilla buy to lets. I mean, after that, I started to get more confident after what I spoke to him as well. He was like, you know what? I'm going to do somewhere I can refurb it and add value, because adding value is the best way to go. So I started to go into buying somewhere you add value, and then I started to do somewhere I can reconfigure. Yeah, so vanilla buy to let.
So for those that don't know, like just explain reconfigure, or where's the value added in that
Yeah, so basically, if you've got a studio and you're changing it into a 1 bed, for example, 1 bedroom flat, or you can do a 1 bed into a 2 bed or 2 beds into a 3 bed, then you can either put up a partition wall, or move one of the walls slightly. But in the flats, I wouldn't recommend moving too many walls because it could be a load bearing wall. So I'd put up a partition wall, and move the kitchen into the front room, there's open plan kitchen diner, and then move the old kitchen or turn the old kitchen into a bedroom, as long as it meets the minimum size requirements, and they've got natural light and everything else in there. Yeah. So basically, I just added another bedroom, same square meterage, same square footage, but just adding another bedroom. So I started doing a lot more of them, and then now the short leases. Yeah. So as you know already, if I can do a short lease, reconfiguration, and a refurb, then ones are called a triple threat. I may make the most money, those triple threats, but it took me a while to build up to them. So maybe after my 13th or 14th property, that's when I started to do more short leases. Yeah, and that only come about after the last recession, as in like major recession, the credit crunch.
Yeah.
Because at the time, BM Solutions, I had about 8 or 9 of BM Solutions, which is like Birmingham Midshires, and then they reduced their criteria to only having 3 buy-to-lets, but I had about 8 with them. So they said, oh, you can stay with us, but you can't take out any money, you can't refinance. So I was thinking, oh, shall I stay, shall I not stay? But at the time, my variable rate was, I went into variable rates, 0.99 above base rate. And then, the rates just started to come down, 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 down. So I was making a killing on the cash flow.
Yeah.
But I couldn't take any money out. So I was thinking, oh, what should I do? What should I do? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to move 4 from Birmingham Midshires over to TMW, which is the mortgage works. Yeah? I mean, I did that. 3 of them had good leases. And then the 4th one didn't have a good lease. It was under 80 years. Because 80 years is the cut-off point in terms of like leases. So the surveyor said to me, look, if we can't give you the 30 grand that you want out of this flat because it's under 80 years, you need to get the lease renewed. Once you get it renewed, then go back to TMW, show them the documentation, and then they'll release the funds for you. So I said, all right then. So I've done that. That one, I actually bought the freehold too. And then I extended my own lease afterwards to 999. Then got the documentation, sent off to TMW, and they released over 30 grand. Then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start looking for flats with short leases. That's a nice, easy way of adding value, as well as obviously the reconfiguring and refurb as well. I mean, just started moving forward from there.
Nice. So in terms of like your strategy, you obviously you said that the triple threats are what work best because you're adding value three times effectively. You're adding
Yeah.
value through short leases, you're adding value through the reconfiguration, and then you're adding value through the refurbishment as well. What do you enjoy most? Like, do you still enjoy like the refurbishment part? Do you still enjoy like dealing with this? What area do you actually enjoy out of the process?
Yeah, I don't mind actually. All of it still. The short lease part's probably my favorite part because it's like a paper exercise, like a paper version of the BRR. I mean, the others are more or less like a bonus nowadays because the work I don't really do myself. Initially, to save money, I did a lot of the work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just got
I
stuck
don't
in.
know, man. I need to see some. If you're a tenant of Jason, send me some pictures of the bathrooms that he tiled or something himself. I need to see some evidence of this. I don't know if I'm buying it.
Yeah. Nah, I learned on the job.
Yeah.
Because people
So, God,
with
what
me.
if you was to pick a trade? If you was to say where you're best at, if it's painting, plastering, like joinery, what would you say that you'd be confident in still if you had to do it?
No, it'd have to be the painting part, definitely. I hope,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no,
Yeah, I hear you.
no, I helped some people with it. You know, like they got a tradesman or a labourer, so they were the main person, and I was just like,
Yeah, no, I think we've all
exactly,
been there. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just, especially when early on, you're just trying to facilitate.
exactly.
I'll be like, listen, if it means you just cracking on, let me carry the tiles up the stairs.
Exactly.
Let me do the sort of the dog work so you
Yeah.
could just focus on being a specialist.
Exactly. There's some of the things I was ordering myself as well. Normally, I just say, "Oh, you order the bathroom, or you do this, you do that." But then I was ordering it myself. Sometimes I use their trade account, get it down as low as possible, then bring the tiles up and blah blah, bring the stuff up, and then you know what I mean.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some quick fire questions in relation to sort of short leases and extending leases, and maybe also some some myths or some things that you can create or not. So, firstly, marriage values. What are marriage values?
So basically, this is the difference between the price that it costs for the lease to be extended to get above back to its normal price. So just for argument's sake, the flat might be 100,000, and then the surveyor goes round there, and then he says, "Oh, it's going to cost you 20,000 to extend the lease," and then the new value of that flat might be 150 or 160. Now, the 20,000 lease extension that the surveyor quoted, 50% of that is the marriage value. So, basically the freeholder gets like 50% of that 10 grand, yeah, going forward. Now, what the government wants to do, gone off point a minute, the government wants to do, which is on the King's speech, like November 2023, they want to get rid of the marriage value.
That's the Leaseholder Reform Act.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, leasehold reform act. Yeah, so that makes it cheaper for us to extend leases. But at the moment, as it stands, we have to pay the marriage value. I had a look online of where it come from. Like, no one really knows. I've looked.
I guess it's the concept of leasehold is that you're effectively
Renting the land.
you're effectively no you're renting, so you own your building but you don't own the land that it's built on.
Yeah.
And I guess the argument was that buildings, when maybe they weren't supposed to last as long as they do, so at a certain point in time, if the building's gone back to dirt, then it's back to the freeholder or back to the landowner. And I guess also the UK was sort of built on landowners and dukes and heirs and all of these people, so the laws would have been in their favor.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, so another question. What's the shortest lease that you can extend?
Well, you can go down to probably even 2 years. I think 2 years is a minimum. It's going to cost you a bomb, yeah, but 2 years probably the minimum, I think.
So you can extend any leases, obviously, as long as you've got the money to do so.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Another question for you then. Do you always have to use your own money to extend a lease?
Now, there's different routes. The answer is no. Yeah. So basically, there's a product called a hybrid product, which lenders can obviously offer you, and then they'll pay for the lease extension, they'll pay for the property value, and then you put down on average anything between 25 and 35% deposit, yeah, of the gross domestic value, the end value of the flat. So just for argument's sake, you see a flat for 170, the lease extension might cost 30 grand to extend. That makes it about 200k, and the end value might be 300k. Yeah, so the lender will lend on 300k, and then they'll pay you for the property, the purchase, and release extension, and then you just put down your deposit. But out of that, you got to pay for your refurb or your reconfiguration money separate, which might be, I don't know, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. Yeah. So out of that, you might make 50, 60K profit, depending on how much it costs to refurb it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the answer is no. But yeah, there's options out there.
There's options.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a lot of the time when we're looking on Zoopla, Rightmove, various platforms at properties, and you see short lease, it will say cash buyers only. Now, what does that mean? Like, does that mean you can't buy a short lease property with a mortgage, with a bridging loan? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's false. I see that so many times. Like, last one I bought was that 67-year lease on it. It said cash buyers only. So I turned up at the viewing, Mr. in Southgate, and the woman's like, yeah, we're buying cash because can't get a mortgage on this. Like, so I said, yes, you can. She said, no, you can't get a mortgage on this. But luckily, 2 weeks before, yeah, my broker sent me the mortgage offer from another property with a 68-year lease on it. Yeah, so I showed the PDF file to the agent. She's like, oh, I didn't realize you get a mortgage on a 68-year property. I said, yeah, this is what I do. So I had to school the agent on the viewing. So now,
But do you feel like when you're doing that, do you feel like you even want to school the agent? Do you not feel like you want to? Because then the next one, they might not advertise as cash buyers only, and the price might be,
true.
you know.
I know. But some of them,
But sometimes you just want to share your knowledge.
yeah,
as
that's
well.
it. That's it. Because sometimes it might work against you as well, work for you. They might say, oh, this person getting a mortgage, I'm not sure if they know what they're talking about. Even though I showed them the proof,
Yeah.
and then they might offer it to someone else
And they
rather
sort of downplay, because I guess at the end of the day, they only get paid if the property goes through.
That's
So
it,
if they
that's
think, oh, this one's too much hassle, and I think that's why it's really important to showcase your credibility. Like, and when you are putting offers forward, make it as easy for that agent as possible to make you seem like a great buyer.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if they're not really sure about you, how are they going to convey that message to the vendor?
Exactly.
And people just want to get paid. They want their money.
Yeah.
The agents want to get paid. The seller wants to get paid. Nobody puts their property on the market for a joke.
Exactly,
So I think you got to put yourself forward as clearly and concisely as possible.
Exactly that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
there's different ways of doing it as well. So you can get a mortgage on it, if it's cash buyers only. But the ones that are really low, could be like 14 years, 12 years, whatever it is. Now, you can get a mortgage on them ones as well. But what you have to do, they'll give you a mortgage, but you have to extend the lease simultaneously along with purchase. So on completion, you get a new lease along with the keys. Yeah. So them lower ones, don't think that you can't get a mortgage on it, because you can, but you got to do it simultaneously. You can't just buy it and then extend the lease later.
okay, so as the short lease king, I'm gonna ask for. I feel like 5 is too much pressure. I'm gonna ask you for 3. Who are your 3 favorite lenders when it comes to short leases? I know you're number 1 already because we've spoken, but I need 2 more from you.
Yeah, because it varies anyway. Like in time, I tell you what, it swings and roundabouts.
People change their products.
Yeah. If you'd asked me this with pre credit crunch, Birmingham Midshires, BM Solutions all day long, and then it changed. Then turned over to TMW. TMW were my favorite, which is the mortgage works. Yeah, because what I like with them as well, you can do products which is online, rather than going through your broker and your broker contacting the management company. They say the mortgage company, and then they send the broker rates, and the broker sends them to you. Like Foundation Home Loans, you got to do that with them, and TML, which is a mortgage lender, you got to do that with them.
Right, all I'm thinking is, every time you say a lender, I'm thinking, yeah, I got one. That's with that property.
Okay.
That's with that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got to spread it out sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on or what's there. But yeah, TMW are quite good. Aldermore, I like Aldermore.
Yeah, I know all the ones we're going to right now, right?
Yeah,
okay,
they're good.
So when it comes to short leases, we're going TMW, we're going Aldermore, and give me a third.
Kent Reliance.
Yeah, do you know what? I like them for they're very straightforward.
Yeah, exactly.
And their process of even like their underwriting, you can kind of actually, either yourself or a broker can actually speak to somebody and be like, look, this is the score. Yeah. Are you okay? Before you get to legals, and then they just knock things back.
Exactly. Yeah, because some of them are difficult. Some of the specialist lenders, because when you get to a certain level, you can't use the normal mainstream lenders. You have to use like specialist lenders. And then some of them were in their infancy. Like for example, Lambay, at the time, when I took one out of Lambay, they didn't have a product switch option available. So they're still in its infancy.
Because they do all manual underwriting as well at Lambay. They don't have any, like, it's not systemized. It's completely all manual, which is, again, and everything I think is
school.
fit for purpose. It's good and bad, because if you know it's being manually under it, you know that you can speak and work with your underwriter to make sure it makes sense and explain any circumstances, rather than the whole computer said no. But I think when it comes to whether it's strategy and property, whether it's dealing with lenders, whether it's solicitors, like, you need to find somebody that's fit for purpose.
Exactly.
If you're buying at auction, it doesn't matter if, for example, Audemars have made amazing rates if they don't work quick enough.
Exactly.
So I think, like, whenever you are, and that's one of the reasons why, until you're really versed, trust the people that are specialists. So like your brokers that know full market, know that, look, they're going to be the best for you based on your position. Trust your solicitor, that, you know, trust your, like, architect. Like, you can't be a jack of all trades and know everything. You got to trust the people and have good people around you.
You're right. Exactly that. I mean, exactly what you said as well. You got to choose a lender that basically fits what you want to do. Because some lenders that you mentioned and that I mentioned as well, they won't release any funds after 6 months. So if your plan is to refinance, do the work, refinance or do the short lease and then refinance when it's done after 6 months, that lender may not have a system called additional borrowing facility or further advance available. That means you got to exit your product, or you got to wait 2 years and then change product if it's 2-year fixed. So make sure you go with a lender where you can do a further advance or additional borrowing as part of your mortgage deal if you're doing a short lease, for example. And then after 6 months, the surveyor will go around there, value it in terms of a lease extension basis, not a valuation survey. Then go back to the lender and say, yep, it's done, all registered at land registry, and then they'll release your funds.
Release your funds. You can pull your capital out without the cost of, you know, product switch, without the redemption penalties, without, you know, loads of additional legals as well, going to another lender, which makes a lot of sense.
Or if you're going to flip it, it's different. Or if you're going to change it, if you're going to do SA, that's another situation again. But yeah, it's like I said, make sure you choose a product that's fit for your situation, rather than just choose one just to get it. I mean, it's like, oh no, I have to exit like 4% or 3% ERC.
Yeah, no,
listen to your profit.
I think as with rates, when rates going up, and it was kind of like much more of a lender's market, that they're saying, look, this is what you got to pay. If we're offering you a good rate, we're going to give you, you know, we might not even give you a tiered redemption penalty. It's just straight 5% for the first 4 years and drops to 1% after, you know, 5 on a 5-year product. So you have to be really careful of getting stuff that's fit for purpose. You touched on it very briefly, King's Speech, potential changes in the leaseholder reformat. What do you, so obviously you mentioned them removing marriage values. What other key points were there in that leaseholder reformat that you think are potentially going to affect short leases and your type of business?
Yeah, so basically, so in general, the King's Speech is in relation to leasehold, in relation to houses and flats. But in relation to short leases and leasehold property for flats, number one, like what you mentioned, they're going to remove the marriage value, which makes it, in theory, close to 50% cheaper to extend your lease if it goes through. Number two, if you're serving what you call the Section 42 notice to the freeholder, you have to own the property for at least 2 years in order to serve it. Now, Michael Gove says he's going to abolish that, so you can extend the lease from day one using Section 42 notice. So you don't have to wait 2 years to extend it. Or if you see an auction property and it says Section 42 notice will be served, incoming buyer will be assigned to the incoming buyer. So that doesn't need to be part of it anymore, which is good. So that will open up the market again. So the 2-year rule might be abolished. We pay for the freeholders' legals, as in like the purchasers. So therefore that will be abolished as well. So that means we've only got to pay for the surveyor, as in lease extension surveyor, and our legals for lease extension, rather than their legals as well. Then another thing is the management, the block management, which is more for the rental anyway. But the block management, they're saying there has to be more transparency in terms of the block management, because some of the service charges are like going up like crazy.
Like I just somewhere that I just bought, the service charges, to be fair, I think they're coming in for like a 1-bedroom flat coming in at like $5,000 a year. And it's like, obviously long term, that is going to, number one, depreciate the value of the asset, because if you're looking at it from a rental perspective, you've got higher, you know, monthly costs.
Where's that, Canary Wharf?
Fulham.
Fulham, yeah,
So Fulham, but the good news is we're putting in the application. I've just got off the phone this morning to one of the other leaseholders,
Buy the
and
freehold.
you're going to buy the
Yeah,
freehold.
yeah, yeah.
My cost of it, I mean, collectively, it's going to cost about 16,000. We got a surveyor, and they've already gone through, and I think my cost is less than 2,000.
Good.
And
Exactly.
so that drops the
Yeah.
you know the basically the annual cost of the service charge from 5,000 to zero, which is going to make a massive
Exactly.
difference
Yeah,
on
yeah.
values as well, and it helps everybody in the building because everybody else is paying 5 grand a year. So yeah, it's not great to have to maybe go and pay 6 or 7 thousand pounds to buy the freehold, but it's all about return on investment. You
Exactly.
make that money back because the value of your property has gone
Exactly.
up.
Yeah, that would be good. And then after that, obviously, you'd be collective freeholders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
And
you
they,
can set
they've
up your
also
own.
they've also got like a sink fund of like 35k that we can quickly
Okay.
go into reinvest
That's good
into the
then.
building itself to make
Yeah.
it look,
That's good then. Yeah,
amazing.
that's good. Yeah. So set up ahead of the management team, which would probably be you, or
I
maybe
don't,
you
I
and
don't
someone
know. No,
else.
maybe I'll delegate. Maybe I'll let one of the
No,
because
yeah.
there's owner occupier. I think one of them's owner occupier. So I think it's
Okay.
always best to let the owner occupier
Right.
kind of be there because they got eyes and ears as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, naturally, it's their home, so their level of care and attention
True.
is going to be to a high standard.
Yeah, that'll be right then. I mean, that just keeps costs down, and then obviously, how many's there? About five, you said.
So it's a weird one. So there's the building is like a freehold of two. So there's 6 flats,
Yeah.
but we're only gonna buy our one is on one separate. So it's two buildings on one title. So we're
Okay.
only gonna buy the freehold for our singular building, which is
Okay.
3 units.
Okay.
So it's not too
So the
bad.
title gonna be split as well, or not really?
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
gonna have to. It's weird the way it's done. We've gone through the legals and they said we're fine to just buy our own 3 units, which
Okay.
saves us having to go and get 50% of 6 units. Now
Yeah.
it's just you only got to find one person to work alongside
Okay.
because for those I know that but for those that are not familiar, to force the sale with the freehold, you've got to have at least 50% of the leaseholders on board.
Exactly. Yeah, that'll be all right. Yeah, that'll be good. And then the management costs, like I said, to run the block will be reduced that down to low, wherever it is, and then you just allocate that. Yeah, that'll be good then.
So in terms of the changes, so we mentioned what the changes are that are coming in. I think you touched on all of the main ones. I know there's loads of little smaller ones, but I think for your specific business, they're the main one.
Yeah.
How do you think like that's going to impact do you think it's going to be positive or do you think it's going to be negative for what you do?
No, definitely positive because in every area there's a reduction in costs. So one, release tension. If there's no marriage value, reduction in costs. Paying the freeholders, solicitors, reduction in costs. What else did I say? The 2-year fix, the 2-year Section 42 rule, reduction in costs. Oh yeah, the one that come in before that was peppercorn ground rent. That was in 2022. So all new leases come with peppercorn ground rent, which means zero ground rent. Yeah. So when you renew a new lease, that part you pay zero amount. But as it stands, you still pay the ground rent on the remaining of the original lease. So just for argument's sake, so you got 60 years left on your lease and you're paying £50 a year, like annually, and you renew it by 90 years. On the new 90 years, you get peppercorn ground rent, which is zero. But on the original 60, you're still paying £50 a year until that expires. But what you should do, what I do anyway, is I get peppercorn ground rent from day one. So 60 years plus 90 years, which is 150, zero ground rent from day one, from the beginning. It's better that way. So that's what I go for anyway. But yeah, so
So when you're talking about these things and negotiating, how negotiable do you think freeholders are? Like, obviously I know there's the standard you get, your survey comes out that determines the value. But have you ever been able to negotiate less than the value that's been proposed by the surveyor?
Yeah. Like for example, some of them try and fleece you as well, by the way. If it's a big company and they got like thousands of properties, a lot of the time they try and inflate it just a bit, just to see, like, test the waters, or inflate it knowing that you're going to try and knock them down. Yeah, but if it's a freeholder like you and myself, for example, I find that us guys are not really, we don't inflate it too much. It's just a little bit more, knowing that there's room for negotiation rather than trying to make a profit out of it. Yeah. So with the big guns, I get my lease extension surveyor to do negotiating for me. Yeah. We always start off low, knowing that they're gonna push us up, obviously. So, but yeah, it's quite a bit. I say on average, you might be able to negotiate maybe, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 grand off the lease extension.
Depending how much, because what I find is that you have to, like you said, gauge who you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with like a private freeholder who owns 1 or 2 properties, and I say, look, I'll do the lease extension now,
Yeah.
and like they ask for 20, and you say, look, I'll give you 15, and I'll do it now.
Yeah.
It's 15K that they're gonna make effectively for doing nothing.
Exactly.
Obviously, they own the asset, and they're entitled to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, well, I might just wait 3 years then, because it's not really gonna change much.
Yeah.
Then thinking, well, would I rather 15K now, or maybe you extend in 3 years' time? So it's the sort of the concept of a bird in the hand rather than 2 in the sky.
Yeah.
And I think for individuals that does work quite well. Actually, for those that are interested, I've actually got a letter template that we send out, which is basically just particularly because of the incoming potential changes in reform that we negotiate a little bit more bullish. So if you haven't already, make sure you join the mailing list. The link will be in the bio of this podcast. And yeah, if you join that, we'll get that sent out to you. Because I think with changes, there's always opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think you're sort of speculating at all? Like, are there any leases that you're maybe delaying renewing on the basis of trying to feel where the market's going, or are you just doing them?
Yeah, I just do it because before this come up during lockdown as well, they mentioned it, and then some people were asking me in 2021, 2022, oh, shall I wait until this reform goes through before I do anything? Or I said no. Like, there's a guy called Bernie Wells who's like the godfather of leasehold. I think he's retired now. He was like, just do it now. Do it as the law is today. Don't wait a year, 6 months, 2 years, because no one knows when it's going through. And it's true, because it's like the Rental Reform Act as well. And the abolishing of the Section 21 hasn't happened yet, but they're thinking of doing it. And then the same with the Leasehold Reform Act. They've set it all out, and it's meant to be going through, but then this year is an election year as well.
And that's the thing, when it's an election year,
exactly,
it's politics.
Exactly.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. We're putting this through now. Will it get voters for us, as in the Conservatives, or will it minus voters from us? And then they've got to think about that as well. And then they're thinking, right, if we do put it through before, which ones will be good for our voters and which ones are not good for our voters? And then they've got to think about that. And then if they don't put it through and think that, you know what, let's wait. So go for the election, then they might even lose it. And Labour comes in now, and then Labour might adapt it slightly, or they might push it through quickly. Like, no one knows. It's up in the air.
Okay, so you're just sort of saying, rather than try and play the markets, let me just run the business as I am. The business is working well. I think some people do speculate, but it all kind of comes down to your attitude towards risk. If you own the asset already and you're not really planning to do anything with it, then you can say, look, I'm maybe going to take a chance. But because you're actively trading and doing things, it makes more sense for you to just keep, keep going along.
That's it. If the math works now, then just go through it. If it happens, if it goes through, it's a positive, then the profits will be increased rather than decreased in that sense. So just do it as it is now. That's what I'd say. But the thing is, what will happen is people are telling me, oh, there's going to be a lot more people going to have to sort these flats and leasehold properties, which is potentially that could happen. It could happen, but I know a lot of people prefer freehold rather than leasehold. So in theory, that could happen where a lot more buyers come to the market in terms of like a lot more competition. But I'm not sure. It may happen or may not. It's like,
but it's always just like, if you're an early adopter, you're always, it's going to be a benefit to you. Like, in your space, I think there's always pros and cons. There's always going to be reasons why things get harder, and there's always going to be reasons why things get easier. Whether we look at it from interest rates, property prices, the level of education out there, like people could look at it and say, there's so many people out there talking about property that it's going to get harder. But there's also so many reasons where loads of people talking about it means there's more people that you can meet, and more likely you are to go and get a deal or find an opportunity.
Exactly.
So sort of cut path full, isn't it?
Exactly that. And then as property is getting more and more expensive as well, long term, to get onto the first rung of the property ladder for these youngsters, it's hard. It's hard. The amount of deposit you need, if you're in and around London, you might have to go outside London. So either way, even if you do buy it and hold it long term, if you don't sell it in the future, there's always going to be a market for the first time buyers and people like young investors coming through. So that's one of the reasons why I got into it as well.
That's nice. I'm gonna have to ask. We spoke about obviously your purchases. You spoke about meeting the gentleman early on who sort of took you under his wing, and he had the nice Mercedes. But I see you got a nice hat there. It's a nice hat you got there, sir. Could you tell the people what that hat is for those that are unfamiliar? Because we're not all familiar with that brand.
Now, one of my dream cars was to purchase, or is, a Bentley. So I thought, when I get to a certain amount, I'm just gonna purchase one. So I was just there. This was been about 5 years ago actually. I was on the beach in Jamaica, just chilling. Smell of fried fish just coming past me. I was like, oh, this is so nice. Sun beaming down, and then I paid the guy at the time. It wasn't free Wi-Fi. You had to pay like Wi-Fi per day. So I gave the guy that $10. I said, look, give me the unlimited Wi-Fi code. And he gave me it free for the whole trip, so it was fine. So I was just there on the Bentley website, looking, always looking, and I thought, you know what, that's the one I want. So I messaged, that direct message on the site, Jack Barkley, London, Mayfair. And he said, yes, sir, like, this car's available, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, I'm coming back on Monday. Can I test drive it on Thursday? I said, yeah, that's fine. Just gave me an appointment, went down there. Because my dream was to one of my dreams was to purchase a Bentley from Jack Markley in Mayfair. That was one of my dreams. Because, we just walk past there, especially like when I was younger, like sometimes I had my Sainsbury's uniform on. You're looking in the window, you're thinking, how do people afford these kind of cars and get the money to purchase it and blah, blah. And it's just in my mind. So I said, one day I'm going to go back to that same branch and purchase a Bentley. Yeah, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but that's one of my dreams. So I did that, went down there, that Thursday test drove it, and then it was nice, boy. I was scared. Because normally I used to drive like BMWs. And then the guy's like, get in there, blah, blah, blah. And then this is the same guy. There was a program on Channel 5, I think it was, called Making Bentley. I mean, the guy that was in there was the guy that served me.
Yeah.
Because they revamped the Mayfair branch. So I was like, oh, I know you. I've seen you on TV. So yeah, that's me, Adrian Crowe. So, oh, pleased to meet you. So I was like, felt like royalty. But one side of me was thinking, right, I'm going to walk in there in my attire. I think I was just wearing a tracksuit anyway. And then are they going to treat me like a certain way or are they going to respect me? But I walked in there, total respect, like I was just a normal person, which I am. None of this prejudice or look down on you or think of you as like nothing. Took me for the test drive, took me back and said, yep, I want this one. So we filled out the paperwork. I bought it on lease because I didn't want to buy it outright. I was thinking, if you're going to pay that kind of money, that's a nice 2 or 3 flats there. I might as well just buy the flats to make the flats pay for the car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah. So I did that, got back on the tube, and then while I was on the tube, I said, yep. I turned my phone back on, and then they said, yeah, you passed the credit, come back. So I was like, oh, I have to come back. And then you come back tomorrow instead, like, rather than under the same day. So I went down there, and then they say, what do you want on it? Like gap insurance, you want PPF, do you want this, you want that. So come back down the following day, saw that all of that. And then about 5 days later, ready for collection. When they said to me, oh, how do you want it delivered? Do you want to go around the side or do you want to come through the front? I said, through the front. Yeah, the main front door. So basically, they had it there ready. I mean, they just opened the doors out. I was a bit too scared to drive it out. So I said, you drive it out for me and I'll just take over after that. So the guy drove it out, videoed it. I haven't put it on social media yet, but one day I'll put it on there. So I drove at the front, or Baby drove at the front, jumped into it. Bentley Mayfair, Berkeley Square.
But I can see you're still, like you said, 5 years on, you're still smiling off the back of, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an achievement.
Obviously having something that you've told yourself you wanted to achieve. Exactly. And allowing property to facilitate you achieving that, which is amazing.
Yeah, because even though it's flats, which is leasehold, you can still do all right out of it. Lots of littles make a lot. Still have your 4 holidays a year. Still have a nice £1 million house. Still get a nice supercar or two. For you and your family to do all right. You know what I mean? Still get to your goals. Still have passive income coming in like 5 figures a month. You can still get to your goals, even though it's not freehold.
Yeah, I think
it's leasehold.
I think that the argument between freehold and leasehold is very relative. It's just because you can own 50 freehold properties in Liverpool that cost the same as a leasehold flat in London. So it's always relative and numbers. So I don't really get caught up in that. So what's sort of next for you in terms of focus? Like, what do you want to do over the next sort of few years? Where's your focus like?
Yeah, so you know what, I've been thinking about development because the initial plan was to start off with flats, move to houses, and then maybe buy a small plot or a plot of planning permission and build like 6 flats. So I'm thinking whether to do a plot. Yeah, because I got a land actually. Got a piece of land where I bought the flat, leasehold flat, 72-year lease on it, and then I bought the freehold, right? And it come with a parking space at the back. Now I bought the other parking space from the another neighbor. I mean that's plot is big enough, probably to fit 2 houses on it. Now, if you look, well, we can't see obviously, but if you look opposite, yeah.
All right, man. This is where we need to speak to the videographer and get a quick update on the screen. All right, next time we're gonna be at that sort of level.
Opposite basically was the same thing, and if you drive around there to go and look at the flat and blah blah, and then they built a house right there. I think it was a 4-bedroom house actually. So I was thinking, so the president's been set right there, and directly opposite. Instead of people just fly tipping and just putting stuff on the space, that's there. So the land has been purchased, it's there. I haven't got planning permission or pre-planning or anything, it's just there. So that's an option to probably build a house, maybe probably even flats, we'll see. And the other option is to look at purchasing something in central London, like prime central London, like in Mayfair, Hyde Park, but a short lease one, where I can make a good 200,000-300,000 profit off it if I do it right. But that one I probably want to try and maybe buy cash rather than with bridging or hybrid product.
The level of exposure.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it overruns or myself and them getting to a tribunal 6 months later, 9 months later, and I'm on a bridging, I'm on a bridge, it's 5-6 grand a month for the bridge.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't need that level of stress.
Yeah.
No, it's been really, really good having you on. Where can people connect with you? Because you've obviously given a lot of information, but I've personally spoken to you. You've spoken on the PBK community, and I know my members got great value from you. Where can people connect with you, find you?
Yeah, I'm on socials, but basically Instagram is Jason Patterson 365. Got a YouTube channel, nothing like your one. It's just for information purposes only. Yeah.
So they're all for information purposes only.
Yeah, true. Again on YouTube, Jason Patterson 365, or just type in short leases when I come up. I'm on LinkedIn under Jason Patterson. I'm on Facebook under Jason Patterson. And I think that's
basically,
it.
we got to fire Mr. Jason Patterson.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
do that. I know you've also got a product for those that want to get into short leases, which is like a short course explaining kind of like common mistakes, issues to kind of help people that are doing it, kind of guide and navigate the journey of short leases. And they can find that in your socials as well, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate having you on today. This has been another episode of the Property by Kazy podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe because we're committed to bring you an amazing episode each and every week. So we'll catch you same time, same place next week.